the soldiers returning, and the various organizations, even the VA, to help these soldiers. There was a serious problem back then, as I remember it, but I think it has improved with the Persian Gulf War too.
Well, and the other thing is, the more you talk about an issue, the more likely it is that the issue will be properly addressed. And that's why precisely we are addressing this issue now and then again at 5 o'clock during News Talk Online today.
Indeed. Let's go to our next caller, Gary. Our next caller is Marcus from Ohio. Marcus, welcome to Paltalk Unplugged with Gary Baumgarten.
Well, yes, thank you very much. I am from Ohio here, and Gary, I also would like to say thank you for having the opportunity to address this issue with the veterans of foreign wars and everything like that. And one of my biggest issues with people here on Paltalk, I've been in a lot of debate chat rooms, and I hear so much bashing and everything and support of the military. And here on Paltalk, we also have military support rooms. And, I look at these rooms and I never see anyone in there. So here I guess they're all just text terrorists, is what I call them. So, you have all these military support groups and no one's ever in there. And why is that? And these people call themselves supporting the war. That's just amazing to me. Thanks for my time here on Paltalk. Hello, guys. There's a lot of people in here that I know, and just want to say hello to everyone in the wonderful room, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Marcus. Well, I mean, those rooms are established by Paltalk users, and sometimes they are successful and sometimes they are not. As you may or may not know, Diana Falzone, who has a show here on Paltalk and who's a Paltalk spokeswoman, and is a Sirius satellite radio show host and a Maxim model, every year goes to Fort Hood, Texas, to MC a huge production for the troops as they are being deployed. And we air that here, we webcast that here on Paltalk, and we do get a lot of folks who come in for that as well. I'm told I have another, yes, George? Hi, George. I'm Gary.
Gary, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Where are you from, George?
I live here in New York.
Right here. Oh, hey, we're at Times Square. We actually found a real New Yorker.
Absolutely.
What are the chances of that?
I don't know. I think pretty good.
I see you're wearing the NASCAR Sprint cap. Did you go over there and
I was there for the whatever it is that they're having today. I don't know, whatever they called it, some sort of fan fest or whatever they're having the whole week. So I picked up some stuff for my grandkids as well.
Did you get a chance to ride one of the simulators?
I did.
Does this really feel like you're on a race course, on a NASCAR track?
I'd only been on a Lime Rock Park. I went there once, and it's a lot different when you're in a car than the simulator. First of all, you're used to your car. You know how to drive it. This thing, there's no brake or anything else. So
I don't think those guys brake very much.
They do, actually.
They brake against the walls sometimes.
Right. They do that too, Gary, but you have to be able to control the car. Downshift, this is automatic, so there's no way you can change, what you're doing. It was just, I would have been killed, the car turned over a couple of times.
Yeah, I know. I'm that way with the digital games on the computers as well. Kids get it a lot better. Anyways, we're here to talk about some serious stuff, and that is the fact that so many of our returning combat veterans come home to broken homes, divorces, they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, other mental health problems, and there seemingly is insufficient resources to help them transcend back into civilian life.
Well, I think part of the problem is there's plenty of resources. They just don't use them. I mean, if they could spend $10 billion a month in Iraq, you'd think that they'd have some sort of outreach programs for the guys who are having, like you say, the post-traumatic stress and other problems. I know years back, a buddy of mine, he was in Vietnam. When he came back, he lost his hearing, not from incoming, from outgoing. And, what's the answer? You get a disability pension. So, it's, and really not much follow-up. They gave him a hearing aid.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So do you think that as this problem is highlighted and with this new administration, we have coming on our next show at 5 o'clock today, somebody from the Iraq and Afghan Veterans of America.
Paul
and,
Rakoff? Would it be Paul Rakoff?
no, Paul won't be Paul. Be one of his guys. Actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, unfortunately, Paul couldn't make it. But the thing is, they are really pushing the Obama the incoming administration to do something about this problem.
I certainly would hope that they get, someone who would be willing to, either, Health and Human Services, someone who would be able to put more money, maybe get decent Veterans Administration, full funding for the hospitals. I mean, after what happened, at Walter Reed, when they found out that the guys were living in basically like a slum, they said, "Oh, that can't be true," but it was true. And then they said, "We'll correct it." But it's the whole. To me, this whole administration, everything they've touched, part of the administration, has turned to shit.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, they've really screwed up everything.
What do we do about the problem of diminishing resources, though? We're in an economic downturn. Everybody's got their hand out. Wall Street, the big three, God knows who else is going to be asking Congress for money. How can we ensure that they're going to set enough money for our returning veterans?
Since they're just printing right now, I always think they got to raise taxes. Taxes in America are way too low. These guys who are the Wall Street guys, they're paying proportionally, $50 million bonus and everything else. They pay proportionally less of their income than does the guys at the bottom. In fact, the lowest paid workers pay the most because Social Security tax is a flat tax, and someone who's below the $100,000, let's say you're making $20,000, you probably pay no income tax, but you get no credit for the Social Security tax and the Medicare. So they got to reform the taxes. I don't know if Obama can do it, but you got to.
They all promise to cut taxes.
I know, and that's ridiculous. I mean, it's a great soundbite. Oh, I'll lower taxes, but when you have an $11 trillion national debt, the third largest item in the budget is interest on the debt. I mean, they never addressed that. And I never heard anybody during the debate say, how would you reduce that? I mean, short of doing like Argentina did, where you default on the bonds. I don't know. I'd say you have to raise taxes. Some sort of tax reform, maybe a flat tax like Social Security clearly is unfair. So I don't know how you do it. It's just it's a mess. We're in a mess, Gary.
Great to meet you, George.
Same here.
Be well. Say hi to your grandchildren for me.
Will do.
Okay, get them on Paltalk with you, and
Okay.
we'll have some fun. See you there. Thank you, sir. Back to you, Boaz.
All right, thank you very much, Gary. And we have another caller, Umara, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Georgia. Umara, welcome to Paltalk Unplugged with Gary Baumgarten.
Hi, Gary and Boaz. Well, I was just doing some research while you were all discussing the topic of mental health as far as veterans are concerned. Well, I think the problem is, and not to sound sexist or anything, but I think the problem is that, men have a bigger issue with admitting that they need help than women do. Like, for example, I know many couples who talk about going to marriage counseling and their husbands go. I think that's a bigger problem, and I'm so glad to see that this guy, Gary Sinise, an actor, is speaking out on suicide prevention. But I think that the relatives and the friends and the co-workers of these veterans really need to be on the lookout. They have a personal responsibility to these people to help them, to encourage them to get help, and not just let them wallow in self-pity and just hurt themselves. I think that the people around these veterans with issues have a great responsibility to these people to be able to help them. And I think the problem isn't so much the services offered. I think it's people taking advantages of the services.
Well, Mara, you bring up an excellent point because, unfortunately, in our there's still the need for mental health care. And, if a guy or a gal, as our previous guest here on the street reminded us, comes back with a physical injury, it's easier for that individual to go out and seek help. And